1 second, because I gotta look up Geekdom's tweet just so I don't say anything that's not true. Let's see. So, what I told him was, I don't understand how people hate the Piccolo is Gohan's dad's joke, because Piccolo babysits Pan. He knows her better than her own grandparents. Told Chi-Chi what to cook for her and everything. And like in DB Fighters, they flat out say that Piccolo was the better grandfather. So we as a community, we as a fan base, do not make these jokes up. They write themselves within the plot of these stories.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how this all began.
Yeah, I just don't want to interrupt you, so just want to be polite and just not interrupt you.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I did read the original tweet, and I did read the thread that did correspond with it, and I did explain this to the chat beforehand. Kind of a quick synopsis of it, at least from my point of view. So, yeah, your point of view can be completely different from mine, of course. But I did. But this is the part that the one I responded to is what showed up on my timeline. Was the manga, fighters, and the two Dragon Ball Super anime
Right.
pictures. And that's when it caught my attention, and that's when I reread the thread just to make sure. And that's where I did have a problem with it. And that's why exactly why I said when you use video games to justify Goku being bad dad, you already lost the argument. Now, I'm sorry if you took that the wrong way, but if you're trying to say Goku is a bad dad because of a video game said that, I don't think that's right.
Now, you do realize that means that you've skipped all the other references that I put out, because I put out references from the anime, the manga, and the video game. So, you know, I really gave all three mediums as examples, and they're examples of it. I mean, I really gave all three examples within all three mediums of them making this joke, or at least them implying that, yeah, Goku's, not really the best. He's not really a good dad. Piccolo's his kind of stand-in dad, co-dad, that helps him not do stupid shit.
Okay, I have a question for you real quick, just so I can understand your position.
I'm here.
Do you yourself think that Goku is a bad dad?
Like, oh yeah, I think he's a bad dad.
Before Dragon Ball Super came around, like you're judging from beginning of Z to end of Z. Like, let's say Super hasn't been written yet. Nothing referring to that.
Now, see, here's the thing. I know when we were speaking earlier.
I'm sorry, I'll get to Super when that gets to it, but I kind of want to know your position. Like, in the original run, this is Toriyama's 100% writing. Did you think Goku's the bad dad?
Yes. Yes, I do. I do happen to think that Goku has done some bad father things in the Dragon Ball Z series. One of those things being...
I will agree there.
Well, I mean, shoot, it only takes so many bad father things before you're a bad father. Like, you can't say he did all these bad father things, but he did some good father things, so therefore he's not a bad father. Like, you're either fit to raise a child or you're not, And yeah, his alien blood does come into play when you're raising somebody who is also half alien, but at the same time, somebody like Goku is not fit to be a parent. He's fit to be a hero of the earth. He's fit to be a master martial artist. He might even be a sage one day if he meditates for long enough. But, like, Goku being a father, that's not really something that he was fit to do. And I saw a lot of people bringing Vegeta into the context as well when I said that even Vegeta called him a bad father. And somebody was like, well, shit, Vegeta has no right to call anybody a bad father after the shit that he's done. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe true, but Vegeta showed up as a villain. He had to develop out of villainy and into anti-hero-ness and into, the second main character. So that was progression. Like nobody denies that Vegeta did horrible things, and nobody denies that Goku is overall and ultimately a pure-hearted good person. But I think
Okay.
he's too fucking mentally retarded, you know, and that's probably a word that's gonna get this what demonetized or whatever. So I'm sorry, but I just don't think that he's
It's good. I
mentally.
haven't uploaded in like a few months, so like I lost monetization.
Oh well, yeah, I don't think that he
Oh,
is
I'd
mentally
want to get it back.
capable of raising a child. Like the shit that it takes to be a parent, Goku doesn't have it.
Okay. And I do have to disagree with you. Even like we'll get in the Dragon Ball Super in a bit, and that's where we also differ on opinions. Give me a second, my kid's going off right now.
Hey, be a dad. Don't be a Goku.
But I kind of want to just go along with the Dragon Ball Z portion of the story, and I don't have the manga in front of me right now as I don't own them. So I'm going to try to correlate the manga chapters as best I can to the episodes that I know of. Because before this, I just made sure I knew which manga chapter to correspond with each episode, so I know I am referencing the right thing.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
And there were discrepancies in my research, like Goten hugging Goku, like that wasn't in the manga. And I was like, and even though it was going to be one of my talking points, I was like, crap, I can't put that in there because it didn't show up in the manga.
Well, if you're a big enough person to admit that, then I'll also be a big enough person to admit that I did indeed believe that Goten was in the room when Goku decided to talk to the people and tell them that he was joining the Tenkaichi. Goten actually wasn't in the room, but still, from the evidence of that scene, I can still gather that he hadn't talked to anybody for 7 years.
Yeah, but kind of want to go down is kind of like the series timeline in general, starting from when Gohan was 4 years old, I believe. When episodes 2 to 3 with manga chapters 197 and 198, with being Gohan gets kidnapped, and I kind of just wrote quick summaries, kind of like quick bullet points to kind of go along with it. Like Gohan getting kidnapped from Raditz, saying Goku, despite knowing he's entirely outmatched, kind of goes after Raditz, but then has to be held back. And then having the team up with his worst enemy, Piccolo, at the time, to go and fight him. And then episode 5, I forgot to put this in here, dying for Gohan.
Well, see, here's the thing about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that anybody's forgotten about that moment, you know?
Yeah.
And to
it
be
was
fair,
one of the bigger points that I still had to put in here.
Okay, well then, I feel like that should go without saying that, yeah, he's still gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that, again, I'm not saying that Goku's a bad father in the way that Vegeta was a bad father when he almost let Trunks die and Trunks had to save his fucking self. I'm not saying he's that type of, fuck you type of dad. But what I am saying is he's the, no, this is more interesting. Chi-Chi has the kids. They'll be fine. He's that type of dad. Which is still very neglectful,
Okay. Yeah, because more of my standpoint is I'm more in the middle, but I am leaning more on Goku as a good dad. For example, like I know he's not like great. Like he's never going to be considered a great dad. But I do consider how his kids respect him at the end of the day to justify like what his job was, despite his limits of like what he gave to like Gohan and Goten, for example, despite having limited knowledge of limited social skills and limited parental instinct. So it's
well,
like I feel like
saying that he has limited parental
outweighs
instincts,
the
saying that he has limited parental instincts, I feel like is already enough to claim that yeah, he's not fit to be a father. If his parental instincts are limited to, if they're conditional.
Okay. Again, yeah, that is a very valid point. and that one's like that one can go both ways depending on your perspective of things. Again, I'm more of like, okay, he's limited because of his Saiyan blood. I feel like for what he did give and how his kids respect him back, I feel like that does say a lot.
Now, see, here's what I have to say about that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry,
No, you weren't finished. You weren't finished. You weren't finished. I'm gonna let you finish before I speak.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like there are like other like points where I kind of just see like Goku like showing Gohan that respect where like there is that 4 years of peace. It was 4 years, right? It was 5 years. 5 years, yeah.
You're talking about
between
which
Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and while Gohan was born and growing up, and that's like the off-screen moments that unfortunately don't get to shine that much, and before everything starts going to shit in the show. And then Goku's constantly either being dead, and then it's just like he's kind of limited where he's either dead or he's like can't be there because he's injured out of combat, stuff like that. Because plot convenience.
Yeah, nobody argues the plot convenience of of somebody just literally not being able to be there. I can understand that completely, but yeah, when it comes to Goku literally just like here's what I will say about Goku, wanting to be a father or being a good dad. He was written as a good dad in Dragon Ball GT, surprisingly. That's funny, right? Because that's the one that everybody likes to shit on is the stepchild of the series, but he was written as a good dad in GT because he knew right off the bat that his kids weren't his kids just by how they were talking. He was he did the whole I gotta spank my kids real quick moment. Like everybody knows and loves that moment. When Gohan and Goten tried to attack him at the same time and he just slapped him in base form. But that's not really being a good dad. That was just a fun moment. But like that moment when he was, I think it was when he was transforming into Super Saiyan 4. And in his memories, he was thinking about, how he was on the beach and chilling. And he's like, yeah, fighting is fun, but, I'm having fun now because I get to be here with y'all. And that's something that I've never heard Goku say. Again, like it just really doesn't seem like it's within his interest to be around his family. Like for the perfect example, well, actually, you said we weren't going to Super just yet, so we'll stay in Dragon Ball Z.
That's perfectly fine. If that gets your point across, go right for it.
No, it's cool. We'll wait. Like I'm a man of I'm a man of sticking to the rules here. At least when it comes to if you say that the rules are this, then we're gonna abide by those rules. So I will say that
we're talking respectfully to each other, like that's kind of my main point of here. And again, sorry about the text beforehand. Gonna get off work, kind of a little stressed, but
it is what it is. But when it comes to, let me think. Okay, so Goku leaving Gohan on Earth with a still villainous Vegeta was a very big risk for him. It was a very big risk for him to take.
This is for the Frieza arc.
This is the Frieza arc. Yeah. Right? Yep.
Okay.
And wait.
Yeah,
before
I will agree there.
Before I let me complete that and wrap that up, you do know that the Frieza arc was one of the ways that Akira Toriyama himself, there were supposed to be like I believe three or four endings for Dragon Ball Z. I mean, so the first time it was supposed to end after Goku beat Frieza. Before season 4 happened and he came back and androids and all that shit, it was going to end like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, not only did he leave him there, but that was going to be the end of the story. Toriyama, was set with it just being that. Like, oh, Gohan will be fine. He's alive and well. Your boy needs a dad.
Yeah, I mean, with that intention of being the ending of the series, that was supposed to be, like, Goku was supposed to die on Namek, and then, that was supposed to happen.
Oh, well, I mean, I thought they said that it was it supposed to be a death? Okay, that's interesting. I
I
didn't.
think so. I would have to review Consensu just to make double sure
Okay,
because
because
I
I
know they
assumed that
have the
it.
interview on there.
I assumed it ended during the Dragon Balls thing with Gohan wearing the suit, but I could be wrong.
There was. Let me look it up real quick because I'm on the website right now. So
Okay, and since you are doing Kazenshu stuff, I will say that I have some scans myself, and this is one from Akira Toriyama and the Dragon Ball Super completion announcement event, and it is a Dragon Ball Super interview, but at the same time, actually no, it wasn't during the completion announcement event. I'm sorry, this was another interview. Um, it's on the Kazenshu. I literally forgot which interview it was from, but if you look it up online or Google it, you'll be able to find it pretty easy when you type in whatever words that some keywords from this. But basically, when they asked Toriyama, "What is Son Goku to Toriyama Sensei?" he said, "At any rate, I wanted him to have the sense of being that rare guy who seeks to only become stronger than before. So much so that it feels like there's no one as pure as this person, right?" So once again, I said, like, I believe he's pure. I believe he's a good person. But we continue on. And while he does end up saving everyone as a result of that, he himself at least has a very pure sincerity about wanting to become stronger. What I wanted to depict the most was the sense that he might not be a good guy at all, although he does do good things as a result. And that's Toriyama, straight from the mouth of Toriyama. And Masako Nozawa says, she basically agrees. I really don't. She basically agrees, to sum it up. And then Toriyama says, no, I guess I got to read her thing. She says, "A strong person like this would absolutely show off that I'm strong, wouldn't they? But Goku would absolutely not come out with that, would he? I'm always saying this to everyone, but the world would be an incredibly nice place if it were full of people like Goku." Then Toriyama says, "I have a feeling the world wouldn't operate very well." And he laughs. And then Nozawa laughs. So right then and there, that lets you know he's not fit to, you know what I mean? Like, the world wouldn't function very well if everybody was like Goku. I mean, he's not really fit to be a functioning person outside of fighting. But then they go on when they say, you know, how are Goku and Toriyama similar? Toriyama answers this by saying, "I guess his aspect of only going places he's interested in resembles me a bit." So you can imagine all of the places that Goku has rather, the places that Goku would rather be, that he's been. And you would think that, okay, maybe it's just an assumption that he just, maybe he talked to them, maybe they were okay with it, maybe this, maybe that. But at the end of the day, Goku goes wherever the hell he wants to go. If it's not interested enough to him, he won't be there. And I think about, well, I guess I have to talk about Super from that point on, so I'll stop. But I want to hear your side and your comments on that.
Okay, yeah, I did find the intended endings with Frieza. Toriyama never said that. That was just a fan thought, apparently. It was just
Okay.
kind of a rumor that did go around that was an intended ending, which does make sense because in the original manga, the ending of the Frieza arc was completely, like, damn near skipped over just to go transition to the Android arc. And it was like 2 pages or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
It was like super fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I did remember it. I remembered it wrong, so good thing I looked it up just to make sure. But yeah, that does make you definitely right on that part. I will agree that stupid decision of Goku, a self decision to leave Gohan there with.
Hold on 1 second. You breaking up, bro. You breaking up. Hold on. One second.
Okay.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Sound better?
Yeah, you sound better now.
Yeah, I was saying that you were correct. I do agree that that was a stupid decision. Even then, like even when reading that and watching that, didn't really like that decision. Anyways, like I will. That's where I do agree with you. Goku did make a stupid, selfish decision of staying out. To control the Super Saiyan form instead of knowing that Vegeta, like Vegeta had good. But it was just kind of lucky that, Vegeta was kind of obsessed with Goku at that point.
Right, right, right.
Agree there, and when it does come to the interview, I always have a problem with Toriyama's interviews just because it does contradict the source material. It does contradict his own writing. And that's where I always have a problem with what Toriyama says with interviews because, like, 80% of
You said 80% what happens? Hello? You still there? Breaking up. Hello?
like I was saying like in Toriyama's interview, it does completely like written on.
Yeesh. Hold on. I'm gonna try calling you back. Yeah, this call is on some silly shit. Sorry, y'all, but looks like I'm laboring my points and looks like I'm getting my points across.
Any better?
Yeah, this is better.
All right, cool. Where was I? So yeah, I was saying like when it does come to the interview, that's when I kind of have a huge problem with his interviews, just because he constantly like contradicts himself and he like kind of talks out of his ass. Like I don't like Toriyama's interview.
Can you give an example of a bad interview like that?
For instance, he was talking about like back in like the Buu saga where he like in the series it does like they do say like the Elder Kai he came from the Z Sword and he was trapped there. I think it was by the witch or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they said in the series on the spot.
Oh yeah, that was a huge
but
plot
then
hole.
Toriyama retcons it to like, oh, Beerus did it, and I was like, oh, that's not what you said.
Well, here's the thing about that. I feel that it's a plot hole not because of the Beerus thing, because that does actually like he left that open because the witch isn't the one who trapped him in the sword. No, the witch is the one.
Okay, I misremembered it. Okay.
Yeah, a witch pop like that whole thing was the fact that he told Supreme Kai that he used to be as handsome as him, but the thing that happened was a witch snuck up on him and took one of his earrings off and put it on her because she thought it looked better on her, and then he ended up fusing with her, and that's why he looks old and ugly. But as for the sword thing, he said that a really bad guy trapped me in that sword, and then he said not as bad as Majin Buu, but still pretty bad. But that was the only information that he left as far as how he got in the sword. Now, is Beerus worse than Majin Buu? that's another argument for a completely different thing, because he, one could argue he's just doing his job. So, but
yeah, when it comes to like the interviews, for example, like when he does talk about like his interpretation of Goku, like that's like he didn't like write Goku to be that in the manga, because like any time it came out to like the greater good, for example, like Goku would always, not always, but like most of the time, like choose that. There's of course times like what you said of staying away because you want to control the Super Saiyan and leaving Vegeta live. There's like stuff like that, but then there's also stuff like bringing like Upa's father back to life. Like Goku didn't have to do that. Like, he didn't have to risk losing his 4-star ball to bring Upa's father back, even though, like, that wasn't his fault.
Right.
Like,
You're
it
right.
was just like things like that. Like, he chose the right decision to do. And it's just like when you're telling people, like, yeah, Goku, like, is kind of selfish. Like, if Goku was selfish, he wouldn't have done that.
Now, see,
And,
that's
you know,
my
even like the first arc where it's like the turtle, where he like carried it all the way back to the ocean. Like, Goku didn't have to do that at all. He had nothing to gain from it. He just did it. He was taught to do good things.
yeah, and I'll agree that Goku was written differently in his childhood, but he still did things like pull Bulma's panties down or pat girls on the vagina to see if they were girls. Like that, those aren't inherently bad things to do. But at the same time, those things don't make you, being that ignorant makes you not fit to be a parent. You know what I mean? And Goku does not really show that many signs of maturity throughout the series. Like he showed signs of maturity in GT, but he does show some signs of maturity in Z. He does, but they're very greatly overshadowed by the fact that we know he's what he basically does is improvise until he gets it right, and then the earth is saved. Everything up until that point, like, yeah, he'll support his friends, he'll do something nice for somebody because he's pure hearted. He just feels like nice things need to happen to people regardless. But none of those things, like even the whole Goku's actually not a hero thing, like because that whole Goku's not a hero thing annoys me too. Like he does heroic shit all the time. That's why I said, like, yeah, he's fit to be a hero. But fatherhood, he was never ready for. He was never ready to actually raise a kid. And you can see, like,
Good.
I'm just saying, like, and you can tell. It either goes to like what, like,
Sorry,
remember
it's
when
breaking up again.
oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying that, for example, well, shit, that's in Super. When do we get to talk about Super?
Let me go over a few points because I do think that since you are talking about some of those now, like maturity and Z and parenting and stuff like that, I got some few more that I do want to show. I'll want to put as examples for this, such as like let me go through the list because there's a lot. But like when Goku is stuck in the hospital and Gohan yells at Chi-Chi, even though he probably shouldn't have done that, to be honest, because he's like 5 years old. But Goku did show like a respect for Gohan. He was like, "Man, you've gotten so strong when I was away." Like, and even then, like Goku did train with Gohan for 3 years, and like when the androids did finally show up, despite Gohan being stronger than most of that group, besides like Goku and Piccolo, it was before Vegeta showed up, he did send Gohan away to go tend to Yajirobe instead of being in the line of fire. And then, of course, there's the other big moments like, Goku takes Gohan in the room and room of spirited time, and then and then Goku choosing to have faith in Gohan, which again, that one's more of like, how do you see the glass half full or half empty kind of deal?
Well,
Where it's like, yeah, you did point out in the tweet, like, yeah, he didn't understand Gohan, but I would argue that, like, hey, like, he knew Gohan was the strongest. He's just like he wasn't there enough. And most of it wasn't because it was his fault to understand that Gohan isn't a fighter. Like, yeah, he wanted to train with you, Goku, but he isn't a fighter. And, like, yeah, you did ultimately have faith in him. And, Goku did make it up when Gohan messed up and he sacrificed himself for it. He said, like, tell Chi-Chi I'm sorry, like, I things. And I just want to. And then he just kind of said goodbye.
True,
And then after he was dead,
he did make up
to
for.
make sure the fight was done. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying he made up for that mistake, sure, but to make a mistake like that, to send your son somewhere that he's not ready to be, whether it be, physically or mentally. He's like, okay, he's physically there. That's all we need. And Piccolo's like, bro, no, do you not know your own son? What the hell's wrong with you? And then Goku he went into shock and realized it, and then asked somebody to give him a senzu bean, which implies that, if he went all out, it would have actually made a difference. He just wanted Gohan to, you know what I mean? But it's implied. It's never really outright stated from what I remember. But he did, after a minute, he's like, fuck it, like, shit. Like, give me a sensu bean, I'll finish this.
Second.
I can't hear you. You broke up if you talking.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It cut out on, like, implied, and that kind of, like, it cut out right there.
Well, what I was saying is that it was implied heavily when Goku said, you know what, give me the sensu bean because you're right, Piccolo. Somebody give me a sensu bean. That implied that, Goku actually did stand a chance. Because if he didn't, then if he didn't stand the chance,
I'll let you go on, but I do.
If he didn't stand the chance, then he would have tried to argue that against Piccolo. If Goku really believes in something, he's gonna stick to it, right? And he kept telling Piccolo, "Oh, just wait." And then Piccolo's like, "Bro, mentally he's not there. He's not you." And for one, for Goku to not know that, you know what I mean? And not only that, but Gohan, while he was explaining to Cell what was going on, like imagine a guy's dad letting him do that. Like, Gohan's like, I already know what's going on. Like, you're gonna push me to that limit. Like, I know that when my rage gets, when my rage gets too out of control, bad things happen. And Goku didn't even realize, he wasn't even smart enough to realize what Cell realized. He's like, okay, fine. I'm fucking you up. This is not working. I'm gonna fuck up the people you love. You know what I mean? Like, and Goku, his silly ass, really thought that Cell just fucking him up was eventually gonna make him mad enough to break the limits. But as Piccolo said, that's not how Gohan fucking works. Why do you not know that? You're his dad. Like, the bad stuff that Goku does outweighs, him saying, yeah, I love you, let me spend some time and fight with you or eat a meal here and there. Like, because those moments are so few and far in between anyway.
Okay, more on ends, kind of like, I'm just cut out. Like,
wait, what'd you say? Oh, I was cutting out?
Yeah, it was, yeah, so I was saying, like, you're on the ends doesn't justify the mean, right?
Not that the ends don't justify the means. It's just that just because he's a good person does not make him smart or competent enough to be a father.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if you're talking or looking through things or.
Yeah, no. I was trying to make sure if you were keep going or not.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was more of like that. When I kind of see that moment, I kind of see in more of like the big span of things. Like, I've always been a person of, like, the ends have always justified the means. That's how I've always been, at least. That's how I've kind of been raised. Of course, it goes to an extent, of course. And, like, how my mindset is, like, if it ends up being good in the end, you better make sure that goal that you have has to happen. Like, no matter what. Like, whatever it takes. Like, if someone, like, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And that's how I've always been. And that's kind of like how I've always interpreted that scene. And I'm sorry, like, to get on like the more, I mean, not really feel, but it's just more of like my perspective on that scene, for example. But it is nice to hear another person's perspective on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's just like how I kind of perceive that scene. What Goku has always been like, as long as it takes, like, if Gohan has to reach that point, like, I know he's gonna reach that point. He's gonna do it. Like, we're gonna be okay. But he just didn't think it through. Like, what if he never reaches that point? Which, again, that I will agree with you. That was a bad move. Where, like, yeah, you didn't know your son enough. Like, what are you doing?
and had
Like,
Gohan
what if he
never
doesn't reach
explained
that
it to
point?
him, had Gohan never explained that to Cell, Cell would have just killed Gohan.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know?
mean, yeah and no. I think it. Yeah and no, because I kind of. Gohan has always been. Hey man, if you push him like enough, like, I think it kind of, kind of like in the Saiyan arc, for example, where like pick him out of a cliff and he kind of just, destroyed the,
You talking about when he threw him at the mountain?
like, destroyed the hill.
Yeah. That's one thing, but Gohan's never really been proactive like that in the face of danger
Not the
ever again.
mountain, he kind of like destroyed the whole part. He didn't have to like hurt anyone else. He just kind of had to hurt Gohan. It was just more of Gohan. I mean, like, it really depends. Yeah, like, if Gohan was at the brink of death, like, if he was really about to die, like, would he have done something? I don't know. That's not what happened, though, so we can't really speculate.
Okay, then we won't speculate that then, I suppose. But
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting on stuff that did happen.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise that starts its own discussion in itself, and that I can go for on like an hour doing that.
Fair.
Yeah, but yeah, if you want to talk about Dragon Ball Super, like, this is what I was trying to explain. Where yeah, I know you're on more of the mindset of canon and not canon, and I have, after a while, like, when it comes to whole canon debacle and the Dragon Ball community, I've kind of just distanced myself from canon. I've kind of been like, well, this is, continuity now. Like, this is what this story says, and this is what this story says. Like, really depends on what story you're talking about at this point.
Well, continuity
Like,
honestly describes
about,
what.
like, Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super, or are you talking about Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT? And that's where I kind of come from. Like, I kind of treat those as their own two separate things. I don't treat them as any better than another because there are problems with all of them.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why I did not treat the whole Dragon Ball Z Dragon Ball GT is canon thing, like I didn't even try to go there with that, is because Akira Toriyama himself actually said, that Dragon Ball GT is a grand side story. It's not really a it's a grand side story,
I'm not
basically.
trying to go step on the toes of Toriyama, but I'm not saying what is canon and what is not canon. Like, at this point, I'm more of the wavelength of, am I going from the Dragon Ball manga to Dragon Ball Super anime, or am I going to the Dragon Ball manga to the Dragon Ball Super manga, or am I going from the animes Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT, or Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super anime?
Honestly, I didn't care
at
because
this point, just because Toriyama in modern days just works on the outline, so it's really hard to tell.
now see, that's not even true. He's not only just doing the outline, and nobody's ever actually said that on document. That he just does the outlines. Like he writes out the stories. He writes out here's the thing. He writes out the stories, right? But it's not the complete stories. At least when it comes to Super, at least when it comes to Super, right? But Like he needs a co-writer for Super, I guess, because he's old now. But just because he has co-writers does not make that medium or that project any less canon. Because when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, they always make sure to mention that Akira Toriyama is writing it, but they also don't go so far as to say, oh well, he's writing the whole thing or anything like that. But he's in an interview, he's talking about how, oh, and he does say Dragon Ball Super is a complete continuation of the Majin Buu story arc. Now that's completely different than what he said about about what he said about GT, which he called just a grand side story that you should enjoy. No, he said with his own, like, Dragon Ball Super is a complete continuation of the Majin Buu story arc. Now, that makes it canon, undoubtedly. You get what I'm saying? He said it's a complete continuation. So, whether or not you want to use the manga or the anime or argue over which one is canon or all of that stuff, like that doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that there are moments in both the manga where he was a bad dad. In the manga he's a bad dad because he's like, shit, Vegeta, but why'd you come back? You know what I mean? Or not even that, but basically he's asking, what the hell does Vegeta being on Earth, what does Bulma giving birth have to do with Vegeta? And he says, I mean, I had no idea when Gohan or Goten were born. And he said, like, think about that. He had no idea when they were even born. And there was 5 years apiece between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So, like, he wasn't even there for Gohan's birth. You know what I mean? Like, and that was during a time of peace. And Vegeta tells him, you might be a bad guy after all. At least as a father, you're the worst. So, that right there is undeniable proof. And then you go to the anime, and he loses Pan. And Piccolo is yelling at him like, how in the hell could you lose Pan? What the hell is going on with that? Now, if you don't want to bring up the Dragon Ball Fighters thing, that's fine. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's not canon. But it doesn't take away from the initial fact of what I said earlier. Like, it's not like the fan base is just creating these jokes out of nowhere. Like, the jokes write themselves.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I say something while you're on that? Because I think that it's kind of more of a mini talking point, but I do think it can bring a good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did mention fighters, and the thing is, and kind of how this kind of relates to like the Dragon Ball Super anime, for example, because it does make me think about video games, and that's the thing. Like, I kind of want to see your standpoint on this too. Is that, yes, you said that Dragon Ball Super, because Toriyama did have involvement in it, and he has gone on interviews saying it is a continuation of the Buu saga, and Toriyama himself has also gone on record justifying for the new game, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, of the stories that were put in that were written by him as well.
But he didn't call Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a complete continuation of the story. Like, he never implied that Kakarot was connected to the main universe at all. He never said that. He did say that he was, he worked on some things, but he worked on some things in GT too. Like, even in the GT thing, where he says, it's just it's a grand side story. Like, in that same interview, he goes, well, for GT, all I did, he says that all he did was just come up with the title design, the initial main cast, and some of the machines, and also do a few images. However, I was able to rest easy handing things over to the excellent staff who had continued Dragon Ball for all this time. You see what I mean? Like, that's a completely different that's not at all what he describes Super to be. Like it's pretty clear in his implications and in his explanations that Super is, canon, whereas things like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot would need that same type of those same type of words to be spoken about it to believe that it's supposed to be taken as canon information in the same way that Super is.
Well, because I only say that just because in Toriyama's quote exactly, I'll paraphrase it because it is a very long quote, but I'll just paraphrase it instead. He was saying like it is, it's an action RPG with full of the Dragon Ball universe, and it includes backstories that have never been told in the manga. And that's kind of like a part I kind of want to zone in there. But he was saying like, I'm sure fans will truly appreciate the deep dive into the world. It's a fresh new take on the franchise as you relive the moment Goku discovers his bloodline and stuff like that, and then the rest of it's obviously
No,
like let's hype up the game.
the line
stuff.
that killed that was he basically admitted to it being an alternate universe by him saying it's a fresh new take on the Dragon Ball universe.
Fresh new take on the franchise. Okay, now I see what you're talking about now. Just because I kind of wanted to do that because, he does have involvement in there, and he did write, stories that were in there, and even though he didn't say it directly himself, on all the promotional items, Bandai kept toting that, oh, Toriyama wrote stories in here, and it's that makes them canon, right? And the whole fandom going off saying now this whole new story is canon now, and it's just.
Yeah, the fandom going off saying that the story is canon now is honestly, you got to take what you can serious and what you can't not serious, because people will argue, this is canon all day long, but Akira Toriyama, people like to say that Akira Toriyama was a part of their stuff. It's just how stuff works when it comes to stuff like that. People love to say, hey, Akira Toriyama worked on this, Akira Toriyama had a part in this, because that's what gets people hyped to go see it, even if it's still not canon. For example, I believe he drew Broly, back in the day. Not the new Broly. He probably drew him too, but if I remember correctly, he drew Broly. So
yeah, he made the initial design for Broly, and then Yamamura, the anime's character design, redid it for the anime.
Yeah, but at no point did anybody ever believe that Broly was canon. It's just that, it was nice to, if you hear that Akira Toriyama worked on a Dragon Ball side story, you know that it's going to be competent and not some bullshit. You know what I mean? You know that people are going to show up because it's not going to be Dragon Ball Evolution, so to speak. That's why they do that.
Yeah, but he also did Dragon Ball Minus, and that was a steaming pile.
I actually like Dragon Ball Minus. Now, nobody likes what the hell happened to Bardock, right? Nobody likes that Bardock wasn't a warrior the way he was. The way he was implied to be in the Frieza saga. But
Goku... my more problem with it is more so of how it was rewritten to have more of a parallel to Superman instead of Goku having kind of his own thing, and that's more so my problem with it. Bardock is more like a nitpick for me, whereas I can believe that his heart was changed because of Ine, but it's more of Goku's backstory being changed is what bothered me.
Goku's backstory being changed, well, I mean, I guess that's another subject altogether, to be honest. But as far as Dragon Ball Minus being a piece of shit, we just kind of gotta agree to disagree on that. That'll be a whole nother video.
Yeah.
But I liked Minus.
I did bring up Kakarot, but I did bring up Kakarot just to kind of go on this thing of, I kind of want to see your position of how much of Toriyama's involvement is something can you justify as canon. That's kind of I want to see where your
involvement doesn't equal canon. On that. Involvement doesn't equal canon. For example, one of the main Deadpool writers and creators, Rob Liefeld, is the co-creator of Deadpool. If not, the most influential writer and artist behind Deadpool. Period. Right. So
Mhm.
um, he eventually got a chance to work on the movie. Right. So now it's the person who is working. Person who's doing most of the Deadpool comics is on to the movie. But that doesn't make the movie canon just because the same author worked on an alternate universe. Like it's already been established that it is an alternate universe. Like they have to either release it within the same continuity of and I don't want to just say the same continuity, right? Because I feel like me and you got different definitions of the word. So what I will say about it is like the reason that Dragon Ball Super is canon is because Toriyama basically said so. He says this is a
Okay,
complete continuation of the Majin Buu saga.
now we're going in the Dragon Ball Super. Now the manga and anime are written way differently.
Yeah.
But Toriyama has worked on both. But yes, he has had more involvement in the manga because Toei is kind of strict in how they write things, and that's its own other thing. But
Well, I
and
mean, he
plus
was
they were
pissed at
having
how
production
Toei was
problems. But
rewriting
yeah,
things.
he has had more involvement in the manga. But you kind of have to decide like which one's
Did
canon
you
then, because they are written way differently.
did you not see like Toei does have strict writing rules and things like that, but when Toriyama gets mad and puts his foot down, they got to listen to him.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and he
I
got
know, like
pissed. He got pissed that they were rewriting his shit because they rewrote Battle of the Gods and then they rewrote fucking Revival of Frieza too. And he admitted that he was angry with them for doing that. And then he came in to thoroughly help write the I believe the Future Trunks arc. Like he came in to like really pay a close amount of attention to that. Like I'm not saying he wrote it all, but he was looking over their shoulders during that shit.
mhm.
So
But again, this is actually a good one right here because now that you brought up the Future Trunks arc, yeah, and we'll bring it back to Goku being a bad father and everything in a little bit. But this is like now we're getting the Dragon Ball Super. I just want to make sure that we're on the same wavelength, so we're not talking about two different things while we're doing that. But yeah, the Future Trunks arc is a perfect example of two stories written way differently, but they have like the same point they hit, but their way of getting to those points are way different.
oh yeah, definitely. But here's the thing about this, and like I know that this is gonna turn into, Toyotaro's art and Toyotaro's story versus Toei's story, and which one's better, so which ones matter, because they're both basically written differently, and which one do we accept as canon? That's honestly like that was something that I was trying to not get into earlier on Twitter, and that was why I just said, instead of just picking one, I'm gonna post one from both mediums. So no matter which one you decide is the most canon or whatever, like they both have a moment. But
Yeah, like I understand where you're coming from, but the problem with that I find is that you can't choose both because people are going to lean toward one or the other either way. You know what I mean?
and
Whereas
in
if you're
both
going to post
instances they
one,
have
people are
that.
going to say, "Why are you posting the?" If people like the manga better, people are going to be like, "Why are you posting the anime?" Like this
But
is Toriyama worked on the manga more with Toyotaro, or why are you posting Toyotaro's? His was supposed to be a promotional, not to the anime. You know what I mean?
yeah, see,
Like you're
but
going to get
that's
flack from
that
both sides.
that's rhetoric to me. That like that's irrelevant to me as far as I'm concerned because like the object of the game wasn't to, you know, please people with their favorite canon version of what's going on. Like what I was aiming to do was express that it's not like the people, the fans of Dragon Ball are just saying, Piccolo is Gohan's dad because we think it's funny and we have no context for it. You get what I'm saying? Jokes like these, implications like these, moments like these are in the mediums everywhere you look. Whether it be in the manga, whether it be in the anime, whether it be in the video games, whether it be in the movie verse, like they all have those moments where it's just like, wow, how this guy become a dad? Like, oh my god, he's a parent. They all have those
Mm-hmm.
moments. So for somebody to say, well, I don't like this one and this one doesn't matter. Okay, well, you have these other three to pick from. Like, you can't deny all of them.
Now I'm really starting to see where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah. Like, if you don't like one, that's fine. Throw it away. You got more. Like, at the point, if you're arguing against me, is to prove that it's not true. And I just gave you proof that it's true in literally every single medium that it has. As far as game, anime, manga goes, I didn't do movie, but still, like,
yeah, I'm going away from the movies, but yeah.
Yeah, but that was the point, to show people, like, yeah, and then when people started nitpicking, like, oh, that one doesn't count, okay, but the other ones do. Like, no matter what you do, if you break down my argument as hard as you can't make all of them not count. One of them has to be canon to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never meant to imply that all of your arguments didn't count. Like, yeah, I never thought that Goku was, like, perfect in any way. Like, he never did anything bad. But I do think there are, in context, a lot of reasons of why he couldn't be there as much as he could.
Never denied that.
Yeah. That was kind of more of my standpoint on that issue, where it does get out of control of people saying Piccolo is a good dad, even though he only literally just trained him for 6 months and then left him out in the wild for 6 months.
Well, he didn't leave him, actually.
Yeah, he was watching over him, but like
he gave him a sword. I don't know if that's that part's probably not canon. The giving him a sword part.
He did. It was not the whole training arc with Gohan. That was all filler. But there was panels where he actually was wearing like the Goku suit with the sword.
Okay, so yeah, Piccolo was watching over him. Like, he wanted him to be tough, but he never gave Gohan more than he could handle. And that was the skills of a good sensei. And then he started doing things, more competent fatherly things for and with Gohan. I'm not even gonna say two, like, we're not even gonna do that shit. But fatherly things for and with Gohan that Goku, as a person, couldn't even comprehend or conceive or think to do. You get what I'm saying?
Well, that's kind of where I kind of differ. Like, when it comes to, like, Piccolo, for example, like, Piccolo's even limited on his parental views, too. Like, he's just at the time, he knew he was a demon. But,
right, at the time,
raise that kid. He just kind of, had to use him.
Wait,
Go ahead.
You talking about, you said that he was going to use Gohan against Goku or something like that? You wrote that.
No. He was saying that, I was saying that he was just kind of using Gohan just to get the Saiyan, just defeat the Saiyans, and then he was like, well, fuck, like, I might be raising my next enemy. Like, I might be training my next enemy. Shit like that.
Yeah, and he meant that. And then, when that happened, the whole Gohan holding Piccolo in such high regard, the whole wanting to wear his outfit instead of Goku's. But I mean, we can get him. I feel like that's getting into the rhetoric area, though, what we headed towards. But as far as Goku being a good dad, or Piccolo being Gohan's real dad, I feel like enough has happened in this series to where people shouldn't even be mad about the jokes, because the jokes basically write them fucking selves over half the time.
Yeah, I can agree there, where I can understand where the jokes come from, but whether they're funny or not, that's very subjective. I mean, for me, like, after hearing the same joke for over 10 years, it kind of gets old. But, if people still find it funny, that's them. I'm not going to tell them, don't laugh.
Hey, my brother just sent me one of them Draw 25 memes and shit. And I was on the floor. The damn thing said raise Gohan or draw 25, and you see Goku with 25 cards. Bro, I was on the floor. Like
It
that
was
shit.
like one. It was. I think I've seen that one. It was like the one with Goku from the Resurrection F poster, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like that serious face.
But like, come on, like even in TFS's version of the Broly movie, oh my god, you know. And I know that this is 100% not canon, but this is, this is the parody that people say arguably did better than the anime, which I believe is foolishness, right? But we keep going.
Yeah.
This is the parody that people literally outright compare to the anime. There are people out here who say, "Oh, I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, but I watched Abridged, so it's the same thing. It still counts."
Oh God.
Yeah, there are people out there who say that shit. So because of that, they could at least be given credit for capturing the heart of the characters that they were making fun of. And when I tell you,
Yeah, even the director, Kaiser Neko, he said he kind of regrets those jokes because it kind of got oversaturated.
which ones?
The Goku Bad Dad ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I
Because
forgot. I
when
know he said it in a few videos, and I know he said it on. I know he says it on Twitter occasionally. But if you go follow him, he says it every once in a while. Where
bro,
people might tag him in something, and he was just like, he's like, I don't like this.
man, their Broly movie had me on the floor when Piccolo came in to rescue Gohan, and he's like, "Gohan, did you get some breakfast? Did you get enough to eat? Did you get into that school you were supposed to get into?"
No.
Because you know Goku didn't give a fuck about that school. You know Goku didn't give a fuck about that school. But that's something Piccolo would probably care about. He's like, "Did you get to that school you were supposed to get into?" Gohan's like, "What do you think?" No. I'm honestly for a good Piccolo as Gohan's dad joke, and like pretty much any day. But it's got to be a good one though. It can't just be, get the
same
fuck out of
thing
here
over and
before.
over.
Yeah. Because one person
I
said,
feel you.
get the fuck up out of here before I charge you some child support. I think Daquan Wilshire said that when he was reviewing that episode. And, that didn't make me laugh. But, everything else that dude says makes me laugh. But shit, that one didn't because it was a still Piccolo's Gohan's dad joke. But, that's, I guess, not it. This pretty much, we done pretty much got, went around full circle and made our points and said what we had to say, right? Unless you had something else to say.
No, I gotta say, in conclusion, I do kind of lean a little bit more toward your side more, even though I still ultimately do disagree with you. I do understand more of your points a lot better, and I'm really glad we had this discussion over.
You know what? Me too, because I expected you to be disrespectful and you were not. So, good talk.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, I'm gonna end this video and shit, and I'll see you around.
Yeah, man, link me. I would love to see it.